Just about 15 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock, welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Of course, today being your Tobago Thursday edition. Now, on today's episode of Your Body and You, we check in with Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt-Angus, who will help us to decode those pesky food cravings. Now, those insatiable desires to eat certain foods can say a lot about your nutritional health, and we'll be expanding the conversation this morning. Dr. Tsoiafatt-Angus, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yes, really is a pleasure. I know that today, today we start off with Jazz Weekend, and I know people are going to be eating a lot of seafood and snacks and all those sorts of things. And so I wanted us to start with the type of cravings that you can have, and what does it look like? Is it just that we may crave for sweet food, for salty food? What are the different types of cravings that we can experience?
Well, for those who are not fully aware, cravings are the uncontrollable urge from the body to eat something, whether it is food or non-food items. And oftentimes, it's usually a sign that there's an imbalance in your body, whether it's your hormones that are out or your vitamins or your minerals. I know that, we always talk about food cravings, but there are non-food cravings, like persons who want to eat dirt, chalk, clay, ice.
Ice, yes, ice
And
is
so
a common
that's
one.
also within that realm of the cravings that we do.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, cravings can be divided into causes. So you have, due to hunger, your hormones may, may be unimbalanced. Pregnancy causes cravings. PMS, premenstrual syndrome, you normally hear those within that age group say, oh gosh, I'm just craving the sugars, I'm craving the salt. A lack of sleep causes cravings. Many of us eat, but we do not eat a nutrient-rich diet. So, that also leads to cravings. Dehydration or poor hydration. If there's something wrong with your gut, that also can create. And now we live in the realm of highly processed foods, and that also can be a challenge for us. But there are also the mental part of the cravings, where stress creates hormone imbalances, the cortisol levels go high, and so we crave foods there. You just want comfort foods. For me, bread and cheese reminds me of my grandmother. So anytime I'm a little bit off, that's my go-to. And for some people, it may be something different. Popcorn, if you're at the movie, you all automatically crave popcorn. But if we look at some specific areas,
Dr. Angus,
take for instance, there are people
Dr.
who crave
Angus?
chocolate.
Dr. Angus, you can hear me?
I'm now hearing you.
Right. So I wanted to know though, how
You're low. You're very low.
all right. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead. Yes.
Hear me better now, right? So I wanted to know, because you mentioned things like, for example, you might have PMS, or you might want that sort of comfort food as well. I mean, do we term these cravings as being bad, or is it just something that you can eat if you're having, let's say, a bad day or something like that?
If you're having a bad day once in a while, sure. But if it is something consistently that, every day becomes at some section of the day a bad day for you, then something is going on in your body more than I'm having a bad day. And oftentimes, like I said before, when we are having uncontrollable cravings for things, you may find that, there is something, whether it is your hormones that are out of balance, your vitamin or nutrient profile, minerals are out of balance, that you may be having those cravings. And therefore, how do you deal with those cravings? So one of the biggest cravings for us these days is carbs. Many persons crave flour items, carbohydrates, the pastas, the bread. And therefore, what does that indicate and how we treat with it? Normally, persons crave those things, and you find that maybe there's a deficiency of nitrogen in the body. And the way we treat with it is having a high protein meal. If you are having a high protein meal, your cravings for bread, pasta, and other carbs decrease significantly.
Dr.
And
Angus, can you
I've
tell us
seen
what
that
a
in,
high protein
my
meal looks like?
patients who want to do weight loss,
Yeah.
and that, high protein really deals with it.
Yeah, and can you give us an example of what a high protein meal may look like? Well, a high protein meal may look like.
Absolutely. A high protein meal, it's whether you're having animal protein um, and fish, or, the chicken breast. I always tell people chicken breast is the best. So your chicken breast, wings don't give you high protein. Wings give you a lot of bones. I know
Right.
people like wings, but
Yes,
it
they
doesn't give
do.
you a lot of protein in there. So your chicken breast, your, fish, beef, in quantities that are literally the size of your fist would constitute. There are also soy protein shakes. Those things can also contribute to increasing your protein without increasing the calories that go along with the other meaty and animal proteins that you may have.
Yeah.
You
One of the
also
things
have
that we
nuts and beans that you can utilize in there. And of course, chia is always part of that. Quinoa, flax seeds, those things also constitute contributing to your protein content.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you would have mentioned, of course, is the fact that maybe if it's a once in a while thing, it's okay. But how do you begin to see this, contributing to a bigger problem? So, for example, if we continue to have these cravings over time and we give into these type of cravings, what sort of effect is going to have? Because for me, obesity is coming to mind. And so what sort of other effects we can maybe see if we have these constant cravings and we give into them over time?
Well, of course, if you have a constant craving for bread and carbs, you can put on weight. You can create diabetes as part of your profile, your health profile. If you're craving salty foods, you may end up with high blood pressure. Again, sugary foods contributes to your weight gain and diabetic profile. And you may have some autoimmune diseases that may be triggered, sometimes, issues within your gut area. But I think it's important for us to note also that those who are craving dirt and ice, it may mean that you have anemia or an iron deficiency. Some people even have worms while they are craving these things. So the important thing is all of this is to have yourself checked out. If you're under stress and your stress is contributing to your cravings, then find methods to de-stress yourself. And you can de-stress. Stress is not good for you. It causes other diseases other than just the cravings. So whatever craving you have in your body, check it out, go to your doctor, have yourself checked out as to what may be going on with your body. Your body is the most intelligent machinery you have around you, but oftentimes we tend to ignore the signs until it is too late.
Yeah.
So
Now,
check out your cravings.
yeah. And in terms of finding solutions, so you did mention
I'm not
that,
hearing you.
Dr. Tsoiafatt-Angus, hello? Doc, can you hear me?
You're very low.
Yeah, I'm going to try to project a bit more. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead. Yes.
All right. So my other question was, because I know we had started on the topic of solutions. So we mentioned that high protein meal and also to check your doctor. But what can we do now? Is it that we need to look at fruits as an alternative? Is it that we need to drink a glass of water? How can we deal with that problem now?
Absolutely. So you can have alternatives. So persons who are craving chocolates, you can choose to have fruits, nuts, seeds, dates, something that breaks the breaks the trend of thought that it must be just chocolate. So you give yourself different things. And yes, water does help a lot, especially when you're craving sugars and the carbs, because thirst also comes out as a craving. And oftentimes we think it's a real craving when we're just thirsty for water. So yes, you can utilize water inside of that. If you're craving salty foods, then you may want to try nuts and seeds that have less salt in them. Definitely something that is neutral, doesn't taste sugary because that's not what you want, but it is a neutral way of addressing that salt food craving without going into high salt patterns with it. And again, water does a lot, like you said, water does a lot in terms of putting a trigger on your brain. Hey, what are you doing? Maybe it is not that you want, and it gives you a chance to really determine what exactly your body needs.
Yeah. And Dr. Tsoiafatt-Angus as well, we have been focusing on food as well as a replacement for those cravings, but you also brought up mental health. So if you are having a craving, are there any sort of non-food remedies that you can use to also solve the problem as well?
Absolutely. For some people, it is distracting yourself as easy as, just focusing on maybe rubbing your fingertips together, focusing on taking some time to listen to sounds, to actually feel the breeze on your skin. And it's a way of distracting yourself into an area of just focusing on what is present for you right now in terms of using your touch, your sense of smell, and listening. And even, what are you seeing? And so it focuses you away from the stress that you may be having, and that begins to break the pattern. So if you do that a couple times during the day, I know some people meditate, and that is also very helpful. Exercise is also very helpful. Get yourself moving. You don't have to be running or doing a quick walk, but just get outside, enjoy the fresh air, take a little walk, and those little activities begin helping you to distress yourself. And of course, there's a wide range of actions that persons take now in terms of pursuing stress management, but it is a key area that we need to focus on as we go about our daily lives, because right now it's a key part of our vocabulary. We no
Yes.
longer take it in stride. We tend to resist whatever is going on in our lives, and that creates the stress. And if I can add, find some time during the day to smile more. Smile is one of the greatest actions you can take in terms of managing your stress.
Yes. Dr. Tsoiafatt-Angus, I am smiling now, trying to take your advice as it comes. Let me thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know that you have left us with a wealth of information, and so we can see how we can manage those cravings. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And that was Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt-Angus just sharing some tips on how we can decode food cravings and also how we can manage those insatiable desires. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.